It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 403. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Forbidden.
And Thalen.
Remember, all who know fear will burn at the touch of giant-sized man-thing.
So we were talking about the Werewolf by Night trailer before the show started, and if you have not watched it, you should watch it. It's amazing. That's all I'll say.
Real good.
So Grace, I know you have been playing Ooblets since it officially released. Is there significant changes?
There's definitely changes. I know we talked about it briefly last time too, but yeah, I've been playing it all day today. I started over from scratch, so I don't know about some of the other towns. But it's definitely been rebalanced a bit since the last time I played it. It's definitely like a much smoother experience. It was already really fun, just the beginning stages in the first town were fun, and they've smoothed out some of the rough edges on it, so it's even better. Ooblets are still adorable. The dance battles are still my favorite thing ever, and yeah, I am kind of excited to keep playing. I can't decide if I want to switch back over to my save game so that I can explore some of the potentially new stuff, new towns. But I think I might just keep going with this fresh game, because there's definitely some interesting things. Like, I appreciate that the dance barn, before it was sort of a never-ending sea of ooblet seeds that you probably already had. And now there's some of that, I think, but there's also useful stuff like a partially leveled up oob coop and like some rare crafting materials and things that you can get through the dance battles. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, I loved this game anyway, and it's been updated and polished and added to, so hooray. Something great was even better.
Yeah, I have not restarted, but I had planned on restarting on the Switch now that it's on that platform. I figured it would be a good play from bed before I fall asleep type game.
Yeah, although it's so just one more roundsy that it might not be good right before bed.
True.
Yeah, it's great, and yes, it's also on the Switch. I'm probably gonna buy it again there, because why not? I got this game a really long time ago, and I don't mind giving them some more money.
That's kind of my thought process too. What is Shovel Knight Dig?
Shovel Knight Dig is an SNES-like platformer / roguelike thing.
It looks like Super Shovel Knight to me.
That's
okay.
Not terribly wrong, really.
Like, Shovel Knight came out on the NES, and so now it's time to release the SNES, and we're just going to go with the naming convention. It's Super Shovel Knight.
So the funny thing about this is that it's not developed by Yacht Club. It's just published by them.
Wait, what?
Yeah. The developers on this one are Nitrome, a company that, if you know who they are, it's because you were on the internet a long time ago. They got big making Flash games.
So like Newgrounds type stuff?
Except better, but yes.
Huh, okay.
And that's who's developing this. It looks, quite frankly, incredible.
I've only seen some stills. Was this at PAX?
This was at PAX, yes.
Did you get a chance to put hands to controller?
I did not. There were a lot of lines for this.
Was there lines? Okay.
So how was PAX in general?
PAX is kind of cool. I think it was interesting that some of the two biggest booths there were both Nintendos. One of them was entirely about Splatoon 3, which I think just launched yesterday. And the other one was about the Pokemon TCG, like the physical card game.
Oh, wow. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, after the couple of years we've had with Pokemon and the card game and cracking packs, it's probably a massive booth now.
I need to get myself caught up on what's happening with latest expansion. It is a truly hilarious game. I got a chance to watch Ben Wheeler, who's like a big like Magic card player and work with the Loading Ready Run channel, play a bunch of Pokemon TCG online, and the way that game plays at a competitive level is hilarious. It turns out you routinely are dealing with decks that have like 12 of Demonic Tutor. So how efficiently can you assemble your combo pieces? It's probably pretty reasonable to put that together and to combo off. It looks like a lot of fun.
Speaking of Pokemon cards, I guess McDonald's is putting Pokemon cards in Happy Meals right now.
Oh,
no.
wow.
So my son has 4 Pokemon cards.
Oh, that's how it gets started.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems really dangerous.
It's packaged with a little spinner and like a coin thing and some instructions that like you're supposed to play a game where you spin the spinner and then everybody takes one of the cards and you compare something on the card and whoever has either the highest or lowest wins. I was like, but I was looking at them, I was like, these are just Pokemon cards. Like these are normal Pokemon cards that you can't really do anything with right now because you don't have any energy cards or enough of them. But like he has an Arcanine now, so
I mean, this is how it starts. This is the crack.
I don't know.
I'm here to tell you that for anywhere from $15 to $20, you can buy the Pikachu Cinderace Eevee deck box that comes with a board that has the rules on them. All 3 decks are balanced against each other. All 3 decks are of types that don't interact with each other's weaknesses or resistances.
That simplifies things.
It's a really good way to teach the game.
I'm gonna think about it. He's been real into Uno, and he's actually able to follow the rules when he's not trying to make up his own rules. I was actually thinking I have a copy of the Pokemon card game Game Boy cartridge, and I might like show him that and let him try that out.
I mean, maybe.
Like obviously that's not going to involve any of the more recent rules or any Pokemon beyond the original 150, but
I mean that was still from the WotC era, wasn't it?
I mean, this is a Game Boy game. Like I don't think
I
it's even
vaguely
labeled
remember
Game Boy Color.
It is a Game Boy Color game. I thought it was a Game Boy Color exclusive, but maybe it
might
wasn't.
Be Color. But it's definitely no newer than Color. Do need to replace the battery in it, but that's true for a lot of cartridges I have, mostly Pokemon.
One of the other things Yacht Club had there was their actual new game, Mina the Hollower, which is like, this game is fascinating to me because it looks like it was developed right alongside Link's Awakening DX. Like it belongs on the Game Boy Color. And it's weird to see this as like its own distinct retro style because it's not quite the NES thing where like it doesn't follow NES sprite coloring rules. It follows more the Game Boy ones where you had some shades and the entire sprite was one color.
Yeah.
Like it took until stuff like Shantae before that stopped being the case. And yeah, it looks like it'll be fun, like Zelda-like, sort of.
I mean, I guess that is a nostalgic thing for some people. I skipped the Game Boy Color entirely, so like I don't have a lot of firm memories of what games looked like at that time. Because like it basically went from like Nintendo to Game Boy to Super Nintendo to PC gaming, and then a brief jaunt at N64, and then back to PC gaming.
Yeah, I did have a Game Boy Color, but honestly, most of what I played on it were just regular Game Boy cartridges. Like I have second generation Pokemon, and maybe the only actual Game Boy Color games I have. And actually, those aren't labeled Game Boy Color now that I look at them.
Yeah, they were Game Boy Color compatible, but they also played on the original.
And I pulled out the Pokemon trading card game cartridge. It is just plain old Game Boy. This is old, yo.
Can you network link that to play with friends?
Probably. If you could find somebody with
card
a second
game?
cartridge.
Probably not.
I feel like it was Link compatible. I could be wrong though.
I definitely link traded Pokemon from the Game Boy. What a jank setup that was.
That's part of why I bought a Game Boy Color, so I could link trade Pokemon with myself. Because I needed a second Game Boy, but I might as well make it a color one.
Well, yeah, like there's no point in not buying a color at that point.
My first Game Boy was actually a gift from a friend when he got a color, but I picked up a color of my own a few years later.
Yeah, I'm another person that just skipped the color somehow.
I had a Game Boy Advance, but like I didn't have a color.
Yeah, same. Same. I think because at that time, yeah, I was just heavily into PC gaming and probably PlayStation. Definitely just skipped from Game Boy to GBA on the handheld side.
That came out in, I guess it came out in 98, but I didn't have one until 99, late 99.
Yeah, 98 would have been heavy 3D accelerated PC gaming, and also I got a PlayStation at that time, I think.
I did have a PlayStation at this point, but PlayStation I couldn't play in my room.
Okay, yeah. That is one thing that like is probably different for me when it came to console gaming from like a lot of people, is the consoles were never in a communal space. Like I had a little 13-inch television that was color that I don't know where it came from. And that was the thing I played all the consoles on. So like it was in my room. So it was nice and easy.
I am a super old, and my first console, like my Nintendo, was in my room, and I had our old black and white television, and that was how I played Nintendo games until I finally inherited an old color TV from a relative that passed away.
If I vaguely remember, like, so my grandparents, like, they were dairy farmers, but there was one Christmas, and I remember it was the oil Christmas, where it was during somewhere when the price of oil was crazy, and someone had convinced them to let them, lease their land for pumping oil. And like there was one Christmas where like instead of the Sears catalog, they gave us an FAO Schwartz catalog to pick toys out from. Ooh. And I'm pretty sure that the color TV came from that Christmas, and it was actually given to my parents, but they didn't have a place for it, so it ended up becoming mine. That was only one Christmas. Like, it didn't continue after that. They sold them some promises that were never fulfilled.
Whoops. Yeah, that sounds like most oil extraction.
Yep. And left them with a bunch of crap on their land. And
I think I know about when that would have been, because, we had people drilling on some land of ours, too, and they never found anything.
Yep.
My family also have land in West Virginia.
Yeah, and I think eventually they like had to call the Oil Resource Board or something to get them to come clean it up, and they just like left stuff there. It was real lovely, but yeah, no, like it was a weird situation. But like it is interesting that there are these games that are designed in the style of a specific console.
I mean, we're starting to see that move forward, because I want to say, was it Anodyne 2? Was designed in the style of a PS1 game, I want to say.
Right, yeah, like I've seen several indie games that have the weird, muddled texture look of a PS1 game.
I mean, nostalgia is always moving forward, and we're at right about the right time for nostalgia for PlayStation 1 to really be kicking in.
And I always wondered if that would be the case, but like, because I understood the 16-bit era nostalgia, because like that was kind of the pinnacle of that art form at that time.
I mean, a lot of those games still look really good.
Right.
Like, you could do really cool stuff with pixel art. Most PlayStation 1 games don't.
Right. Yeah.
Depends
like
if they're 3D or not.
Especially if they're 3D.
Well, like, so technically the 2D games that were available on the PlayStation and Saturn are the evolution of the beautiful 16-bit era. Like, so you have like Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Huge sprites.
Yeah. But like, The 3D games, I never thought there would be much nostalgia for because, like, the controls were kind of jank and we hadn't figured that out yet. And the graphics weren't amazing.
I just the other day saw like somebody tweeting about how it was I guess it was the same day was both the anniversary of Parasite Eve and of Final Fantasy VIII, and they had like gameplay videos for both of them. Parasite Eve just looked so bad.
It's real rough.
I have so many fond memories of it, and I don't
I
even
do.
want to look at anything. Like, I don't even want to see a screenshot at this point because
No, it does not. It does not hold up. Hold on to your memories.
But part of me would love to see, I don't know if I want a remake, but I would love to see a continuation of that series in a modern system.
Yeah.
Because like, it was a great series.
It's a weird story.
It was. I also want Dino Crisis to exist in a modern form. I think I liked Dino Crisis better than Resident Evil.
I'd like a new Vagrant story.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, that is a game from the PS1 period that I feel still holds up. Because I've played it not too long ago on one of my emulator handholds, and it still looks gorgeous. Like, that game still looks really good.
Oh, nice.
A lot of the later games figured out that if you just, don't use 3D for your background, you can get games that look really good.
Yep.
Like Legend of Dragoon is one of these. FF8 is one of these.
It does mean
9 more, really.
It does mean that the remaster of FF8, like,
doesn't look better.
It looks really weird because they improved all the characters, like the character models, but then you see them like next to background NPCs, and it's odd. It's real odd.
I would be okay if we had a retro revival of Jet. What were so there was the
Jet Set Radio was the first
Jet Set
one.
Radio.
And then Jet Grind Radio was the version on the Xbox.
Which was the one that was on the same disc with the racing game?
Jet Set Radio Future.
Yeah.
That game was cool, and I had no idea that's what I was getting when I got that 2-pack.
Most people didn't. Most people don't even remember what that racing game is.
It's Sega GT. I also really enjoyed that racing game.
What platform was that on?
Xbox,
it was on the Xbox.
Xbox.
We played the heck out of that, me and my friends.
Xbox is a console that I've never owned.
Oh man, then you missed the best of Halo. And you can't even say, oh wait, no, I played Halo. Nope, doesn't matter.
Wow.
I mean, the best of Halo.
I really did. I legitimately did miss Halo as a phenomenon. Because like it came out 2 years later on the PC, and at that point, it wasn't impressive at all.
Oh,
like I remember.
That port was bad. That port was very
terrible.
bad.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I remember when it finally came out, there was another game in the Unreal series that was a Halo-esque adventure game, and
Unreal
it was
Championship?
No, it was just called Unreal 2. Because the original Unreal was not a arena game. It was a Doom type clone where you're like have a story and you're following it. And I think it was Unreal 2 was the game I'm thinking of. And it came out about the same time as Halo for PC. And it was just infinitely better. Like everything about it was so much better.
Yeah, Bell, you know how you have stories of like epic adventures in EverQuest?
That's Halo for you?
I have all of those stories for Halo. Like, Halo 1 multiplayer, so good. So much fun. Does it matter that the weapon you start off with, the pistol, is absolutely overpowered? No, everyone starts off with it. Everyone's overpowered. And then the other weapons just refine how you're overpowered. Don't use the assault rifle. That's a mistake. There is literally no good use case for that weapon.
I played a lot more Halo 2 than Halo 1, and that was still true.
The pistol was better at mid-range than the assault rifle. The shotgun was better close up. The sniper was better. The sniper and pistol were better at long distances.
I feel so incredibly old because there was a little neighbor kid across the street from me, and he was super into Halo at the time, and I went over and played a couple times on their Xbox. and like he would ask me to print off things from GameFAQs for him. He just had his first kid.
Oh wow!
Like a couple weeks ago.
So let's see some fun Halo stories. So first off, one of the things I'll always remember is that everything in that game, like all of the pickups, had collision and were so grenades could be used to like knock things, like knock a flag off of a ledge. So if like somebody is trying to like get the flag and you get them to drop it for a second, you can throw a grenade and like throw it into the abyss, and then it'll respawn back at your base. But I was really good at using this to like, there was a pit on this one level that where you had to take a ladder down into the pit and then a ladder back out. But in the pit was the rocket launcher, which is just a really powerful weapon. It doesn't have a ton of ammo, but it will kill people dead. But I had figured out how to use grenades to get the rocket launcher out of the pit without using the ladder, and that was my secret tech.
What's funny though is like I have these memories like that for Doom and Quake and a little bit of Unreal Tournament, but by the time Halo came out, that like I had moved on, and by the time I tried to get into Halo years later, I was just incessantly annoyed by the fact that I couldn't stick to the same loadout all the time, that I had to keep swapping weapons and like using weapons that I didn't like to use.
I mean, I guess that's true in the single player somewhat.
What do you mean somewhat?
It's definitely true in
It's
the
very
single
it's
true in
absolutely
single player.
like I wasn't interested in multiplayer. I was just trying to play through the story.
I know that's not what the Halo fans are there for, but yeah.
Yeah, and like I was just infuriated that I kept having to use these crappy throwaway weapons.
I
was running out of ammo from the good weapons.
So I never played Halo. My main Halo memory is I had a friend who was just obsessed with Durandal and like the marathon games in general, and he was insufferable when Halo hit it big because he was finally vindicated.
I mean, on the other hand, weren't most of those fans abjectly betrayed when Halo went to a Microsoft-owned platform?
It was.
I mean, yes, because
at Macworld they said it was going to come out on Mac.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he was annoyed initially, but then like it hit it big, and just the fact that like this thing that like he knew their stuff before all these Johnny come latelys.
Yeah, Halo came out my senior year of high school, and so my freshman year of college was when it was like at its peak, and we were doing 16-player. Like we had a switch in the hallway with Cat 5 Ethernet going to 4 different rooms because you could only play 4 people to a console. And yeah, we had massive games every single night.
Yeah, that's probably part of it too, is like Halo came out like right after I had left college.
Yep, same. Like we had just moved into this house when it was a thing. But like the game that I remember in those terms was StarCraft, Warcraft 2, to some extent Quake. Like those were the games that I remember playing in college that we would like clandestinely sneak on the computers in the computer lab so that we could all play, Warcraft 2 and big multiplayer battles.
The main one I remember doing that with is, I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically the light cycles from Tron.
Yeah, it was just like
so
a little
good.
bitty, it was like a, God, I don't remember what it was called. Yeah, we played that too.
A freeware game called Armageddon, but I don't think that's what you're thinking of.
No,
because that was literally the light cycles from Tron.
Because the name's like nothing like Tron, but it's basically just light cycle racing, and it's fantastic. Like that and Scorched Earth. We played so much of those two things.
How is light cycle racing not just competitive Snake?
It is.
I mean, it was, but it looked cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to sound really young here. My college was defined mostly by the plastic instrument era.
I mean, that was also the end of my college.
That was my freshman year.
You're
not that much.
No, but it did mean like Halo 2 came out while I was in high school. Halo was old news.
We definitely, like, socially people in my dorm weren't super into video games as a thing, but they loved any racing game that came out and would play that all night in the common room. So I played Diablo by myself in my room, and if I wanted to be social, then I had to play some whatever random racing game was the hotness at the time. And like I still love racing games, but it's just not quite this. It's not my normal jam anymore.
Well, the thing I remember being really big was Mario Kart Battle Mode on the 64.
I do remember that being big.
Yeah, that was big for me too. Even though I never owned a 64, most of my friends did.
Well, like the 64 came out my senior year in college, I think.
The 64 was the first console I bought myself with money I got reffing Little League Soccer.
Yeah, the 64 for me was that thing that my friends had in middle school, mostly.
It was the best console for multiplayer for a long time.
It had 4 controller ports.
Yeah. The main multiplayer thing I remember playing in college is lots and lots of Tekken.
Yeah.
So much Tekken.
I, for some reason, never really got into fighting games in college.
I was about to say.
No. Afterward, yes, absolutely. Weirdly, Blaze Blue got me over the line there.
We also played way more Star Wars Masters of Taroskasai than we should have because that game was.
That was a
bad.
horrible game.
Is there any amount
Wars.
that you should have been playing that game?
I mean, it's entertaining Star Wars stuff, I guess, but it's just a terrible.
It was not good.
Unbalanced game.
We also played a lot of it though, like because it was Star Wars fighting game.
Yeah, it was still incredibly fun, even though it was utterly unbalanced.
Speaking of great N64 games, the Jet Force Gemini, was it? That is a game I would love to see more of. And even though I realize the answer is I should play more Ratchet and Clank.
Accurate. There was even multiplayer mode in some of the older games that they haven't brought back for a variety of reasons, mostly understandable.
So one of the things that came up this week that was kind of interesting, and we've talked a little bit amongst ourselves, New World released like a significant update to the game, to the PTR, and has apparently gone back and like redone the starter experience. And when I say redone, like significantly changed.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like a really major rework.
Yeah, like it's, they redid the first little tutorial area. It's largely the same, but like it's corruption themed now, and you've got some better visualization into where you're supposed to go. You after the first cutscene that you get, where like you climb up to the top and you get the pretty vista of the island, like that entire theme continues through the starter zone. And like originally there were 3 or 4 generic shipwrecks that you didn't know anything about and you didn't care anything about as you land on the beach, and now they're all unique. And like one was besieged by corruption, and another one looks like angry Earth attacked it. And there's way more NPCs. There's way more ports. So that like basically every NPC little hub has a teleport next to it. And now that teleportation costs like basically cap out at 10 Azoth, it's not a big deal.
Oh, that's nice.
Like that's something that they did some time ago, where teleportation no longer factors in your weight. It's just a flat like 10, 20 Azoth, whatever, no matter where you're going. And you can get that back in a few minutes of like just killing random things or harvesting things, or so like you're always basically Azoth capped, and it's fine.
I mean, if you're always capped, why have a resource at all?
Well, you use it for crafting. That's the only time that you care about Azoth, is for crafting. For day-to-day usage, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like the craft experience is way faster than it was previously. Like I was skinning random stuff and like getting a ding almost every single time I skinned something.
That seems like huge quality of life.
Yeah. They flattened the reagents. So, like, the first crate you loot, you're basically getting end-game reagents. So, like, there's just sandpaper now, or just flux now. You don't care about, like, the different gradations of quality of flux.
Good. There never needed to be different versions of it.
So, like, and, like, I looted a box in one of the ships and got 8 sandpaper, which is a lot, considering, like, you take 1 per advanced craft or advanced refinement. So, like, that was 8 refinements right there.
Did they ever fix the thing where actually what I should be doing is creating 10,000 cheap bows?
Yes. I don't know. I've not done high-end crafting, but they definitely made it to where you get more experience for crafting things that are of the materials you should be crafting.
Okay.
And when I last played, like, I've poked my head into this game off and on, and the last time I played was a couple months ago, and they had just gone through and peppered the zones with way more high-end resources. So, like, lots more ironwood and lots more orichalcum and lots more, of the end game resources were just readily available. So you didn't have to go to the end zones to get them. There's, like, a story now that carries you all the way through the game. Like, there's a full solo track for the main story quest, and, like, dungeons are now optional. There's no more dungeon keys. You can just run a dungeon. And, like, what?
So you're saying that I should probably reinstall that game before this goes live?
You should, but, like, I'm literally contemplating, like, leaving my character alone and starting from scratch on a brand new server. Maybe not even a brand new server, but just, like, start from scratch somewhere else.
Are you allowed to start from scratch on the same server?
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can play the same character on the same server.
I thought that was a whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Like, so it would have to be on a different server, but, like, not delete my character, because, I put a lot of effort into that character, but, like, I would kind of like to experience the game in its new state from scratch, especially if it's not going to be quite as painful to level everything. But I don't know when the patch is dropping, but, like, it adds a whole new area to the game called Brimstone Sands, and the capital city looks more like something out of an Assassin's Creed game. It's like this massive sprawling city. But, like, Monarch's Bluff is now a castle, like a proper castle. They've gone through and reworked, like, a lot of the towns to where they're not just these little ramshackle, towns in the woods. They're like actual settlements.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Isabella is one of the big baddies of the game, but, like, you knew nothing about her until suddenly she showed up in a dungeon. So, like, from the time you leave the tutorial area, you've got the whole Old God Whispers thing happening with Isabella talking to you in your mind, because when Captain Thorpe blasted you with the corruption at the end of the tutorial, it apparently did something. And now you're being tempted by Isabella all the time. When you finish the first little area before going to the first town, you play, like, a cutscene, and, like, the game is apparently chunked up into chapters now. And the cutscene is, like, kind of the sketchmation thing where, like, it's semi-action-y sketches that blend into each other, kind of like the Legion Demon Hunter cinematics were, if you remember those. But, like, it's perfectly adequate. I mean, I didn't need flashy full 3D CG cutscenes. Like, I'm okay with basically an animated storyboard for a cutscene. But yeah, like, it actually looks like maybe they still are trying to make this a viable game.
I mean, honestly, not sarcastically, good for them, because there is a core of a good game there.
There was.
Like, mm-hmm. I really enjoyed a lot of things about that game in the moment to moment. and the big picture was kind of terrible. So I'm willing to give it another chance.
Well, and they put in like this musical instrument system where like you can learn to play various musical instruments, and like if you go into town and you practice your musical instruments, players can roll up to you, and like there is a emote for tipping. You're not actually giving the player any money, but you're acting like you're tipping the person, and if you do that, it gives players a buff, and the buff lasts really long.
Oh man, Shades of Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah. So like basically you can go into town and perform, and then players will run up and get a buff off of you and then can run out into the world and adventure. I still want to find raffle bones. They put this thing in that's basically this random spawn around the world that drops a bunch of loot, but like can spawn in pretty much every zone, and I have yet to find one. But, you know, it's basically like a loot goblin that spawns out in the world somewhere. They've added a bunch more dungeons since I last played. The last weapons that they had put in when I was playing was the blunderbuss, which was really cool. It's basically a shotgun. Now they're about to release the great sword, which is either a tanky weapon or a DPS-y weapon, depending on which path you take it. And it looks like the Cloud's Buster Sword. It is a ridiculous weapon. But yeah, like I patched up the PTR, I played around, and like I was very impressed with what I saw.
Might have to check this out.
Yeah, like it would be worth going back in and treating it like it was a new game launch and just trying to experience this version of the game. And I think like what I've seen so far is if this version of the game had launched, their fate might have been totally different. But I guess good on Amazon for not cutting their losses and, you know, getting rid of the team like they did with all the other games that they tried to release. So I know we talked a lot about Path of Exile last time, but I do have a brief discussion that I wanted to talk about, and that is I spent a bunch of money, and maybe it was very worth it. Yeah, maybe it was worth it.
Cough money.
Yeah, the in-game currency of chaos. I spent roughly 1 divine's worth this week, which is 170 chaos or so, and bought the 4 uniques, that one of which is ungodly expensive, and I had to do some bargain shopping and was only able to find a 5 link. But
I was about to say, considering that the unique I need, like the 6 links for that start at like 3 divines.
Yeah, that was where I was too. Is this one, if I had gotten the right colors in 6 links, it would have been 3 to 5 divines. But like I managed to find someone selling one for 150 chaos and snatch that up. There was a 5 link, but it was the correct colors.
It's Impulses.
Yeah, Impulses Broken Heart.
The armor you want if you are doing lightning damage, which a lot of people are for reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm curious because I am doing lightning damage, but that doesn't come up in most of the guides I see for what I'm doing.
So the four items that I'm using basically do a combo, which is converting some of all the lightning damage that I am stacking to cold. Then when something gets frozen, it has a 100% chance of getting shocked, and Stormbrand is constantly applying that shock, and then when something dies while being shocked, it causes an explosion, which causes other things to blow up. So like it's this glorious chain reaction when it fires off, and it's beautiful, where things just get shocked and blow up. But it requires 4 items to realistically do that thing.
Man, running that many uniques,
that
leaves
dangerous.
you in a tough spot for things like resists.
It does. Like my resists are pretty good, but I also have very specific items that I just cannot get rid of. So when I try and equip items to make myself no longer take elemental reflection damage, I no longer have my resist caps. Because I have to swap out an item, and it basically drops me down to like 60% on 2 of my resists.
So have you looked at Elemental Mastery as an option for that? Because one of the elemental mastery options is 60% reduced reflected elemental damage, which I think that combined with the secondary divine gets you to 100%.
Yeah, I think I'm too far away from that right now to pick it up
Yeah,
easily.
Because I have elemental mastery and I've currently got a point in increased effective non-damaging ailments because shocks, but I'd switch that point over because then I could switch divines to be able to run maps that have elemental reflection.
Yeah, so what I'm doing right now basically is putting on Sybil's ring and then using Ugle, which combined gives me over 100%, but it also now drops my resistances down below. And the thing that sucks is like I keep looking for a ring to replace the one and give myself some more resists, but then I need dex on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is where Elemental Mastery's at, I have no points in that direction. So, like, I would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points to get Elemental Mastery.
Wait, which one? They're all over the place.
I mean, there's a bunch of elemental mastery options. I would have thought one of them would be close.
I don't see one that's close.
Because there's three of them are over in the Templar area of the board, and then another couple over in the witch section, and one down in the ranger.
Yeah, I see one that's on the far edge, but it's not much faster to get to from where I'm at.
Yeah, because I've got one that's down right across from Duration Mastery, because I wanted both of those, and then that took me down to, and I was headed down to Shaper anyway, and Iron Will.
Yeah, that direction I'm not in at all. And that would be the closest one, I think, is the one down by Duration Mastery.
Oh, and there's also one like directly north.
Probably the closest one for me.
Yeah, there's one up near Block Mastery and Dual Wield, and that directly north of Templar.
It's just like the funny thing is like people will say, well, you should invest in your build. And like I thought it was kind of nonsense until basically I went from struggling endlessly to being able to just do T16s without much issue.
Even if you aren't like shopping, that's still true because you need these exact same resources to craft yourself the items that would also do these things.
Yeah, because I haven't bought anything, but I absolutely, once I figured out how Path of Building works, with some assistance from Ash, have been making use of that. And my survivability and damage output are both like way higher than they were about 72 hours ago.
Yeah.
I should probably do this thing. I can clear like T16 maps, but there's some things that give me headaches for sure.
Yeah, like the biggest things are I can put I can import my build in, my tree, and then have Path of Building tell me like what nodes would be the most cost efficient ways to improve things. And I can, if I have an item drop that looks like it might possibly be an upgrade, I can just Control-C it and then paste it into Path of Building, and it will compare all of the things on it.
Yeah, I think my problem is I haven't gotten to the Path of Building chapter in the O'Reilly book yet.
No kidding.
It's it's a little complex.
I was talking with Tam last night about how absolutely dumb the way Life Leech works is.
How does it work?
Life Leech?
I just assumed that, you hit a thing and you have Life Leech, and so you gain life.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's much more inscrutable than that. I did figure out at some point I was life leeching. So I had a hilarious situation where I was life leeching and I had no idea why I was life leeching. Because I had a weapon, I had an item that gave me life leech on physical damage, but like literally 100% of my damage that I am dealing to enemies is lightning damage. Like I don't have physical damage on this build, so I shouldn't be life leeching. But I also discovered that I had a item that was dealing myself a certain amount of physical damage every time I cast a spell. Like I was paying life as a cost, but I wasn't paying life as a cost. I was dealing myself damage.
So you were life leeching from yourself.
I was life leeching for myself.
Are you using life tap on a gem?
Nope.
No, that's actually a cost. That's not dealing
That's a
damage to
cost.
yourself.
Yeah, that's paying life as a
It's
cost.
different.
It's different, Bell. Don't you understand?
No,
Like the difference
I don't.
the difference between more and increased.
Yes. That also frustrates me.
And
although I understand it now.
significantly.
This game.
Because, yes, life leech, if you have like 1% life leech, then it heals you for 1% of the damage you deal, but not instantaneously. It's over an amount of time determined by your life leech rate, or whatever they call it.
What?
And worse, there is a maximum total life leech rate. So if you hit things fast enough, you can't pass a certain amount per second.
Oh, good grief.
And the way they refer to all of these things is in the most confusing language possible.
Yeah, I mean, like, the joke about the O'Reilly book is not really a joke. Like, and I gotta say, like, I have been having to learn a lot of stuff from a combination of YouTubers and Reddit, and I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it. But it's the only way I have to move forward.
Well, the best part is I'm running into the same problem that I run into when trying to find out how to write a test in JUnit 5. Which is, if you Google a thing, most of what you're finding is out of date and no longer applies.
Yup.
But it's not always easy to tell if this is a thing that is out of date or not until you try to apply it. And no, it doesn't work.
I mean, I got the pretty big clue when I went to put points into my talent tree, that passive tree that just don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, they were telling you to put those points there because it was really good. It was too
Yeah,
good,
apparently.
it turns out.
Like, the thing that floors me, though, is, like, I was struggling before doing this thing, and now I'm not, and I'm 4 maps away from completing the Atlas tree. And that was what I basically set as my goal for the entire 3-month league period, and I thought it would take all that time.
But how many points away are you from finishing Modified Atlas Grind?
I don't even know what that is.
It's one of the challenges.
Oh, God, yeah. We don't even want to talk about that one. I am at 757 of 6,000.
Yep.
A lot of these are, I mean, the ones that literally say grind on them, they know you're not going to complete them until like 35th or later.
Yeah, like these are intended to last a long time.
Although it has been pointed out that the endgame grinds one that they have is actually substantially easier than a number of the other things in this list.
Yup.
I was going to say, I actually have points in some of those things.
I also have points in some of those things and not even level 90 yet.
Yeah.
The one that, like, feels miserable in that, though, is defeat Argus.
Yeah, that's not happening.
100 times. Like, I don't want to go back into the labyrinth now that I've gotten my points.
Oh, I do.
That is a lot of... There's good stuff in the labyrinth.
I absolutely do. How am I going to get my helm enchantment any other way? I mean, I guess I could buy it, but I'm not going to do that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't gone back in, but I have been saving up the offerings that I get.
It's also worth noting that the improved offerings are a challenge.
Hey, look, the first one, my 4th spec was a challenge that I couldn't beat until I had this gear. Like, I could not do the 4th lab. Like, I just couldn't. I would get one shot.
I'm extra, like, you were into red maps and you couldn't complete the 4th labyrinth.
Yeah, I didn't have those 2 talent points.
Man.
And I was doing tier 16s and was okay. And that's, I guess, part of why, like, so many people have, like, wait, you were doing red maps? I didn't know any better. I wanted to progress. I wanted to progress and tick things off the list. But, like, I will say, and I think Ash has made this statement before, is if you are intimidated by the trading aspect of this game, I will absolutely broker for you. Like, I don't want to sell anything, but, like, I will buy something for you anytime you want, because it's not a big deal.
Awesome. I'm probably going to have you do that then.
Also not that difficult. You just need a spare stash tab.
I may take you up on that, although there's a part of me that is intensely stubborn and contrary that just wants to do this myself. I don't know which part's going to win, but at some point I'm probably going to want to, actually be able to get another level without dying.
I mean, that said, the thing that I really need is still like 3,000 Chaos Orbs, so that's not happening anytime soon.
I need to figure out
What?
Delve.
What? Oh, the
Aegis
shield?
Aurora. Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody, it's so good.
I'm
Yes,
keeping my
it's-
eyes open for it. But yeah, like that's the other thing is if there's a specific type of item you're looking for, please tell me and I will keep my eyes open for it because I trash so much decent looking gear that just doesn't happen to be what I need at any given time.
If you find a high link trimmer rod, please let me know.
Yesterday was the day that I apparently was finding all the 6 links because I found a couple of chess pieces and like a rod, and today I found 2 bows, and sadly the bows were corrupted.
I don't think I've had a single 6-link drop yet.
I have.
6 slots.
I've had
sure.
a corrupted 6-link.
6-link? No.
I have not seen a 6-link either.
It dropped in the vaults map for me.
Like I've run a couple of grand heists hoping that maybe like, I'd find a good piece of armor in there that might, drop with like, because I know one of the grand heist options is fully linked. Like you get one of those and then you just, put 6 sockets on it and you're good. But no.
I did finally get my first blueprint drop, and it's unusual gems. So trying to work my way up to running that.
Those are fun too. I got myself an anomalous Sigil of Power, which it has 1 fewer stage than normal, which means I can get it maxed a lot faster. It's good.
I did get a corrupted 6-link to drop, but it was a hammer, which I wasn't planning on doing, and it's 2 blue, 2 green, 2 red.
That doesn't seem great for a hammer.
No.
I don't know what I'm doing with that one. It is in the bank if anyone wants it.
I mean, it's usually really easy to find a thing to do with 2 blues. Most of the things I can think to do with greens are for ranged attacks.
There are some really good
Onslaught.
greens.
Isn't green
Onslaught's
Onslaught?
green. Onslaught is good.
Onslaught is green, but
Maybe Ice Bite?
on an axe? I guess if you're doing like Ice Crash or something.
On a hammer.
Yeah, that's what I mean, on a hammer. I guess if you're doing Ice Crash or something, maybe.
The 2 bows I got today were 2 green, 2 blue, 2 red, and 2 of them dropped at the same time, so 1 dropped and 1 was mirrored. But like the thing is like it's not a great combination of gem colors for most things that I would think would use a bow, but it came with 12% quality on it, so like it's a good little bow.
It's
and it also
almost
has
what I need.
It also has +2 to levels of socketed bow gems.
Oh wow!
So like
Yeah.
these are good.
That seems very worth trying to find a way to make it work.
Let me dump these in the guild bank.
I might steal one of those, the non-mirrored one, unless someone else really needs it.
I don't have a bow character this league.
What?
I did
I
last
might try to
league,
make
and
it
I
work.
would have used that bow.
What is the functional difference between the mirrored and non-mirrored?
Mirrored items can't be altered, so if it's corrupted, it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah,
right.
If
Yeah,
it's corrupted, it doesn't matter.
Except that if it's corrupted, there are still things you can technically do to alter
That's
it.
true.
That's true.
Tainted currencies exist again.
Back in, yeah.
Yeah, no, like I didn't know that like I could screw up quality with the tainted currency, and I like put a tainted armoring on an item and like just got a YOLO 19% out of it.
So the thing with that is it changes the item's quality to a random level between 0 and max. So if the item you're putting it on already has 0 quality, it can only be an improvement.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I absolutely would have used that bow last league. That's but yeah, no, the main thing I'm doing now is I have juiced incursion about as much as I possibly can, and I am trying to get the one room that lets me trade a unique for a different unique of the same type and do that as much as possible and just, turn shields into other shields. And I think I'm going to put some points into the there's like one node over to the right where you can improve the chances of certain beast types. And so like improve chance of the particular type of beast that I need for the make a unique shield recipe, because I just want as many chances as possible to get that shield.
Well, what's weird about the situation that I'm in currently with my gear is because of the items that I happen to have at the moment, I can't be ignited, I can't be frozen, I can't be shocked.
Oh wow, that's nice.
And that alone adds a ton of survival.
I am running an aura and have been since like level 38 or so for exactly those effects.
I mean, I'm my secondary divine is being used for Can't Be Frozen. I've got the Brian King.
Well, yeah,
I
that's
haven't
how I'm
captured
getting
that
my
yet.
Can't Be Frozen. Yeah, is from Brian King. I hit enough lucky divine vessel drops that I have unlocked all of the major and minor god in the pantheon.
Wow.
I need to go find Merveil and kill her with a divine vessel to.
Well,
get the
not
last
all
one.
of the gods,
That-
but all of the one major and one
Okay.
minor.
Well, yeah,
Ah.
no, for the major that I'm using because I'm using the Brian King.
Yeah, I've unlocked Brian King. I've got 2 secondaries unlocked, and I am 2/3 of the way through another major just because there's a challenge for that.
So yeah, actually, yeah, Brian King is the major I'm using, and then I'm using Tukahama as my minor because it's an improvement when you're stationary, and I like to stand still on my consecrated ground inside my frost shield and my sigil of power. Mostly things can't hurt me in there.
I don't stand still.
I
I'm
run
running
away a
the-
lot.
I'm running the bleed or bleed and poison or whatever while you're moving doesn't hurt you more one.
Same, because I cycling around all the freaking place.
Yeah,
So I
that's a
need
very
that.
good one if you're moving. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
sure.
notice this last patch they finally added the pantheon to the menu?
I did know it was in the menu now. I did not notice it had just been added.
Yeah,
'cause
it'd
I
just been added,
generally
'cause-
haven't had much cause to change it from Brian
Right,
King
like-
and the other
Like
thing.
I had to keep looking up what the hotkey was because I couldn't figure out how to get to it other than talking to Sin.
Yeah, because it's always had a hotkey, but just you didn't remember it because how often do you use
Right.
it?
Right. You set them once and then you just don't ever touch them again. Except for now I am quite often whenever I want to not be elemental reflected.
Yeah, I should probably take a divine vessel and beat up this other thing for Ugle just to make sure I'm getting the full benefit if I do use him.
So this next topic is going to be probably a little bit weird to get into, but so if you've been following any of the news about the Microsoft Blizzard Activision acquisition, Sony is fighting real hard to try and make sure that Call of Duty won't become exclusive.
Gee, I wonder why.
And here's the thing, like, okay, this is a bit of nostalgia for times long gone, but maybe it would be better if Call of Duty was exclusive so that Sony would fund a reasonable competitor.
But that would
And-
require Sony to fund something, and they don't want to do that.
And what I mean by that is there's a lot of great games that we got over the years only because there was a popular game that was exclusive to another publisher.
Yes.
We would not have Sonic were it not for the fact that Mario was a Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah.
Like, Newtopia was a really good game that only existed because NEC wanted a Zelda-like game. Legendary Axe only existed because Sega had exclusives to Golden Axe. Like, there's a lot of games that were really great that only existed because a publisher was trying to create their own version of a franchise. So, like, it makes me wonder if maybe we've lost out on some really cool titles because of the mega cross-platform success of things.
I mean, Call of Duty exists because of Battlefield.
Right.
I would say
They saw their
I was about to
success with
say,
Modern Warfare, but
I feel like we are in a very odd era of shooters where there's not a lot of shooters out right now. Like, other than Call of Duty and Destiny, I guess there's still Halo being made.
yeah.
What other shoot, like, mostly the type of shooters that appealed to me don't seem to be getting created anymore. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, the things that I will generally refer to as arena shooters kind of just died out.
Yeah.
Call of Duty killed them, basically.
I'm not getting to play Capture the Flag anymore. I'm not getting to, like, do short missions that have definitive ends. I'm just like, I'm constantly loading in and a big fight is happening.
Well, and even Battlefield kind of lost its identity.
Yeah,
Because to me,
the
Battlefield
game that
was
released
like,
last year did not have the best reception.
like Battlefield was always this really large scale battle game, like covering a huge area with vehicular combat and, you know, like big team play type elements. Whereas I think the last Battlefield that was released was trying to be a Call of Duty game.
I know absolutely nothing about Battlefield 2042.
But I still think like there's a positive side to exclusivity because it used to spur on folks to actually create interesting takes on a genre to take on the competitor. And I don't care about Call of Duty at all. Like I've not played a Call of Duty game since the second Call of Duty.
I guess the other thing that's weird to me is, yes, Call of Duty is big. It's no longer the biggest player in the pool.
And it hasn't been for a really long time.
Fortnite's not that old.
Oh, I guess that's fair. I didn't even think about Fortnite. That's on me.
Yep, it's all Fortnite now.
And based on my friends that do play Call of Duty, it seems to be a thing that they play for a single weekend to relive that nostalgia and then are back playing something else.
Mm-hmm.
I speaking of nostalgia, I was watching like TV that had commercials because I was in a restaurant, and there was a ad for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta test, like coming next month. Like, are we just like full re-releasing like a 10-year-old game here?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there's some minor difference in the name that signifies that this is in fact a new game. Kind of like the absurdity of the Dark Forces Jedi Academy, whatever naming system. Oh, I see. It's a mobile game.
Oh, is it the same game?
No. They're releasing another game called Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, except using Roman numerals and not the Arabic numerals.
It's totally a unique game.
It is a sequel to the reboot of the previous Modern Warfare.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, this is a PC game. Okay. Have I mentioned that Google is just awful nowadays?
No comment.
It's incredibly unhelpful.
I mean, Google wants to give you the answer, and if it doesn't have the right answer, it's still going to give you something.
It's going to give you an answer.
It'll make up an answer, and it's wrong.
Wait a second, though. Like, all of the characters that they're showing me are the same characters from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, though.
Yeah, look, they rebooted Modern Warfare like last year or something like that. And so they have to make a sequel to that game.
So yes, we're re-releasing a game from 2009. Yes.
Are we re-releasing a game from 2009, or are we now in alternate history timeline?
Yeah, I feel like I'm
if WoW had released an expansion to Classic that is a different expansion than Cataclysm.
I think that's where we might be, actually.
That's clearly what they should still do. Does this game not have no Russian in it? Because, I mean, that might be interesting.
We'll see.
This is Modern Warfare 2 from the Berenstain Bears universe.
Wow. I wonder if that's going to come across in voice.
They know what I'm referring to.
I absolutely know what you're referring to. I was watching a video on that. It was just bizarre. Like, all of the things that, like, I also misremember wrong.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's so many of them. I think that's the same universe that Bigger Luke is from.
With the tall blue snaggletooth?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this topic's been bounced around a bit. Gaming performance driving experience.
Oh, I think this was actually a me topic.
Yeah, I think it was a Kodra topic.
Yeah, I mean, that's because I was playing on a quote-unquote SSD in Path of Exile. And in fact, I was playing on probably just a cursed drive. Actually, no, the drive wasn't cursed. It was the cable.
Because I had a cursed cable.
Because I swapped out the cable. So I had an SSD, which theoretically means it's going to be fast read and write to the disk. But it turns out it was at like 1 megabyte per second, whereas like normal operation would be 500.
Yeah, that is not fast.
No, it was quite slow, and like it's one of those things where I've been playing a number of games, and like for me, poor performance is sometimes just kind of invisible. Like I'm just like, but it definitely like looking back, I was like, I was not having as much fun playing Path of Exile when I was like waiting 30 seconds for every load screen versus playing Path of Exile when I am waiting no seconds for every load screen.
Yeah, I imagine that would make a big difference.
And like just it's a challenge to review, like to put out objective, or I mean objective reviews are impossible, but like even reasonable reviews where like it might just be, hey, my system didn't perform the optimal way, and so I didn't actually have a good experience with this. Like there's a bunch of games that I kind of bounced off of Elden Ring for a bunch of different reasons, and then like maybe I should go back because I think that was also on the slow SSD.
Oh.
And so maybe if death felt a little bit less painful in that game, I would have more fun with it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's probably a game you don't want to play on a potato.
What was funny about this, though, is it was only through Kodra having this experience that I realized, oh crap, I had Path of Exile installed on my physical mechanical drive.
On a hard drive? On a HDD? Yeah.
Yeah, like I've got a big bulk storage drive that I sometimes install games that I don't really care about to. And as many times as I have bounced off of Path of Exile, I guess I just installed it to the hard drive instead of an SSD. And now that we're playing it, it makes a massive... Like, I've never really played a game that makes as big of a difference as it does as Path of Exile. Like, I've played a lot of games on both a mechanical and a SSD, and there's a noticeable difference usually, but like it is not the night and day difference that Path of Exile is. So if you have ever tried this game and you installed it on a mechanical hard drive, put it on your SSD. It is a totally different experience. I had all kinds of performance issues that I thought were just, this game has crappy servers or something like that. Like, because I've been playing Diablo 3 some this season, and it is quite possibly the worst performing season I have ever experienced from Diablo 3.
Ugh.
Like, it is real bad. And it is on an SSD. I don't have that same experience, but like after going through stuff like that with games like, Diablo 3, I thought, oh, well, Path of Exile must just have like underperforming servers or something, and it's just a quirk of playing the game. But no, like this game is totally different on an SSD.
Yeah.
Like it used to be, if I opened a strongbox, like the game would freeze while the mobs spawned in.
Oh wow, that doesn't really sound viable.
No, like, and I would just have to like push a button to, teleport out of the way or, dash, hoping that I survived.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely feel what Kodra was going through.
And I only knew it because I was playing with Ashgar, and he commented that it seemed like I was going very, very slow while loading. And was like, oh, you probably have something actually wrong with your game. And that's when we started really digging in. Maybe performance issues are more visible to other people, but for me, sometimes it's just like, this is the sea I swim in when I play a PC game. So it is something that at a point really cottoned onto my brain of, man, I like how much I am enjoying this game is much more than just the design of this game. There are physical things that impact that. It's always good to remember it.
Well, and like, I'm pretty susceptible to just accepting failings in games like that. Cause like when we raided, I was rating at like 15 frames per second, something like that. Like it was not good performance during all of our years of raiding. So I guess I've just been willing to accept, sluggish, crappy performance more than the average person.
Yeah, that also sounds remarkably unpleasant.
Oh, it wasn't great. No. Like, I mean, when we were doing like an Ice Crown, yeah, I was running 15, 20 frames per second at most.
I mean, I guess your job was to stand there and get hit in the face a lot.
Exactly.
So.
Beat on stuff and like occasionally kite things. So
I also attempted to play this game with a mouse and keyboard, and let me tell you, that is not my form factor. Ooh, boy.
I see, like, I think y'all who prefer the controllers would probably benefit from the control scheme that Grace and I use, because like we're not clicking to move. Basically we bind force move to W and then steer with our mouse.
So you're just kind of gliding around, aiming yourself. The downside, because Path of Exile is annoying, is that you lose an action key by doing this.
I'm pretty, like, my ability to dodge stuff with the controller is pretty good at this point.
Yeah, but I just hit spacebar to dodge. Like,
I was gonna say I also just mostly hit spacebar to dodge.
Is spacebar your dash?
Yeah, that's what
For me, it's Frostblank. Yeah.
I mean, I always put my dash ability or my movement ability on spacebar. Like, that's just a thing that I've done forever.
Yeah, so having attempted to do a little bit of this, what I notice is that I have a tendency to dash the wrong way.
Oh, see, that doesn't happen when you're steering with your mouse as much. I don't know. Like, maybe it's just that I have developed the muscle reflexes from playing Diablo like this.
Say, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And I have played a lot of Diablo and mostly not liked it because I don't enjoy the control scheme.
I mean, I had to stop clicking to move because, like, it's just too repetitive, but...
I mean, I have finally put that piece of advice from forever ago into place, and you don't have to click every time you want to move. You can just hold the button.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just hold the button and run around.
But yeah, again, I am glad that this game actually has good controller support.
I wish it wasn't either or.
I do also wish that, yes.
It's almost as if they were vindictive about it and like, well, fine, if you want to use controllers, you got to use controllers for everything. I am curious to find out what the mobile game will be like. Like, I assume it's not just this game on a mobile platform.
I think that's what they were going for, though.
Like, it would be kind of cool if you could just pick up on your character on a mobile phone and, like, use it for farming, like, low-end maps and stuff.
I feel like this game has too most builds. Not all builds. One of my builds definitely doesn't. Some builds have too many buttons for that to feel reasonable, I think. I don't know. Might be weird.
Well, I mostly play on the phone with a controller, so like that's
fair.
That's how I would end up playing it. I think we've pretty much reached that point in the show. Any last words or quick topics anybody has?
Temtem released this past week. I have not gotten a chance to play it yet.
I am also somewhat curious about Magic the Disneying.
I'm really curious about that. I saw some of the spoiler cards and it looks really good.
Finding it made me look into the Digimon card game, and that's extremely dangerous for me, and I kind of wish I hadn't done it, but also cards.
It does look pretty good, interesting, and I can have a Robin Hood card.
Well, and I've been playing a lot of Mirrorverse. Is that what it's called? Mirrorverse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and I really like what they've done with the alternate versions of characters in that game, and I'm kind of hoping they play into some of that in the card game.
Yeah, I mean, the cards we're seeing so far all look like just the normal versions of the characters. But,
I really like Dory in the submarine that is for exploring the land.
Dory in her little fish submarine. It's very silly.
Anyway, well, hopefully...
Also, She-Hulk is really good.
It is.
Watch it.
It's amazing.
Madison is the hot new character find of 2022.
Ignore the people that are, saying negative things about the show. This is the beautiful thing about Disney Plus is it allows us to have lots of different Marvel shows. And this is kind of the Marvel Alec McBeal.
Yep. It is very much positioned as an episodic legal comedy. There are story threads traveling through the show, but it's much more self-contained episodes than other Marvel shows have been.
And it has really great side character interaction.
Yes.
And I guess Andor is starting soon, so we'll have more Star Wars.
I thought maybe it had started.
Maybe it has. I don't know.
I know Love and Thunder just dropped, and so I need to watch that.
Yeah, we just watched that one last night.
21st of September for Andor.
Okay.
I really liked Love and Thunder. I thought it was great.
Like, it sounds like exactly what I want from the next Thor movie, so
Yeah,
I'm hopeful.
I had one complaint about it. Everything else I absolutely loved. And the complaint is a spoiler, so.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.